Chapter 20. A couple hours later, the three of them sat on the dock at Jared's cabin, with lines in the water. Ashley had been surprised when his mother had agreed to fish. She looked like one of the high-maintenance women she'd encountered when doing her student teaching. Her nails were manicured, her clothes perfect if out of place for the lake, and she didn't have a hair out of place. Maybe she was just used to the city. Jared had volunteered to deflate the float, while Ashley took her wave runner home to get her fishing gear. There was probably some already here, but she was more comfortable with her own gear. She'd brought her little skiff back with her gear and chair. While she'd been gone, Jared had found some gear for him to use. Ashley was surprised he had a license, but Brant had told him to get one before he came up, so he had. They'd set up on the end of the dock to try to catch dinner. Jared had watched her carefully, then looked at his own line confused. So Ashley had shown him how to bait his hook and cast it out. Watch the tip. A little movement is normal, but if it does a sudden dip, then you need to set the hook fast. She went back to her chair and laid her pole across her lap, resting one hand on it so she would feel any movement, then went back to talking to Jared and his mother. Amy was nice, and Ashley could tell she cared about her son. It was obvious she'd made the trip because she was worried about him, not because she was simply nosy or felt ignored. While talking, Ashley learned that Jared wasn't an only child, he was the oldest of three, much like her, but he had two younger brothers where she had a brother and a sister. The tip of Jared's pole bowed. "Oh. You've got one," Amy said. "Well, he's got a bite, he doesn't have it yet. Pick up your pole and give it a small jerk. Not too hard or too big. You just want to make sure the hook pulls through the lip." Jared grabbed his pole and pulled back. "Like that. Not bad, it could use some work but it's not bad. Start reeling." Ashley talked him through bringing the fish in, and when it got close enough, she picked up the net and helped him land it. "Oh, it's not very big." Amy stood to one side. "It's a pretty good size. Not huge but big enough to keep. A lake this size doesn't produce really big fish like on the deep-sea fishing shows." Ashley grabbed her forceps and pulled the hook out while Jared grabbed her basket to put the fish in. "Wow, you two know just what to do. Have you been doing this a lot?" Amy wanted to know. "I grew up fishing on the lake, but Jared's only been with me once, a couple days ago." Ashley lowered the basket into the water, made sure it was anchored around a boat cleat on the dock, then rinsed her hands in the lake. "We'll need a couple more that size to feed us all." Ashley went back to her chair and watched as Jared fumbled to rebait his hook. She wanted to offer her help, but let him manage on his own. She watched while he tried to figure out how to work the bail on the reel to cast it out, until he looked up and found her watching. "I don't remember," he said with a half-hearted smile. She set her pole aside again and went to help him. She made him hold the pole while she walked him through how to cast, then she stood aside and watched as he cast it out. The hook went maybe 15 feet before falling into the water. "That was shitty." "Nah, it's not too bad. The dock puts us over deeper water, and you added few more feet to that. I'd leave it." Jared looked at her for a minute, as if he wasn't sure if she was lying or not, then he sat down and adjusted his line. "Thanks." "Look at you." Amy was oddly bubbly and excited as she watched Jared. "Like a real fisherman." Ashley resisted the urge to frown or ask what she was on. The woman was way too perky, but maybe she was just happy to find Jared was doing okay. Maybe she was always this way. God, Ashley hoped not. That would be exhausting. Thankfully, she wasn't as cheerful or enthusiastic while they visited, and got to know each other some while they fished. "So, what do you do, Ashley?" Amy asked. "I'm helping my parents at their shop here for the summer." She didn't need to tell her whole life story or justify her life to this woman. That's nice. You live up here year-round? No. I'm just up for the summer. I start my new job on the 1st of August. Jared watched her with a slight frown. Her new job is in Chandler. He smiled at his mom, but his eyes were on Ashley. She wasn't sure, but she thought she saw a glint of amusement there, as if her not giving his mom details about her life was funny. In some ways, maybe it was. To Ashley, it was a survival mechanism. If Amy didn't know much about her, then if things didn't work out between Ashley and Jared, Amy couldn't come looking for her, either to bawl her out or beg her to give him another chance. She'd had one mom do that while she'd been at ASU. Considering it had been for her 21-year-old son, it had been a little weird. That's nice. It is. Ashley agreed. They went back to talking about Amy, Jared, and the rest of their family.